Story 1. Astronomy gear. Just one eyepiece can cost significantly more than most entry-level telescopes. A large, well-made mirror for a homemade Dobsonian telescope I plan to build will cost as much as a new car, around $25,000. Story 2. Hobbies that I lose motivation for. I have guitars I can't play, a three-dimensional printer that hasn't been used in weeks, sketchbooks with most pages untouched, guns that have fallen silent. I love antique shotguns, handheld gaming consoles in various states of repair, a project car that I have nearly finished and will complete before New Year's, I hope, bonsai that are effectively just houseplants in funny soil, games I don't play, random computer parts scattered about, collections gathering dust, and many parts and specialty tools that rarely get used. I have my sights set on building Gundam plastic models and some light prop or model making for some reason now. If I were smart and financially responsible, I wouldn't dive into things immediately. I have a ton of useful oddball skills and mechanical aptitude to show for it though. Story 3. Art supplies. More than half of them remain unused. I just like looking at them. Story 4. Effects pedals. I took some to a friend's house a few weeks ago for a stoner noise jam and he said, "What is that? About $2,000 in pedals?" I was about to push back as it seemed absurd. Then I realized he was right. Edit. I am not alone. Story 5. Fencing and fencing accessories. Not the barbed wire type, but the kind involving stabbing with long, pointy metal sticks. Story 6. Chicken feed. Those little animals are just stomachs covered in feathers. I was going through 200 pounds a month for a while, even though they free range and eat everything they can find. Story 7. I like to collect fossils and beautiful minerals. I spend a lot on them, but it is my hobby, and I love it. Story 8. A mixed reef aquarium for my living room. The amount of money you can potentially spend in the hobby is ludicrous, but there is something captivating about watching all the interactions in a marine ecosystem as it grows. Many of the best-looking corals and fish can also be grown sustainably by aquaculture suppliers now, which is important if you want to be a responsible pet owner. The other big draw for me is all the gear and technology available to tinker with. From protein skimmers to pumps, power heads, refugiums, reactors, and dosing equipment, you could spend thousands if you wanted. That is nothing compared to the cost of some specialty fish or corals with really radiant colors. Story 9. Watches. I have many watches to wear because I really like them. Story 10. 2 courses of isotretinoin for severe acne gave me my life back. Story 11. I raise butterflies. When the caterpillars eat their way through the plants in my yard, I go buy them more. I spent about $400 on them last year. I bought a lot of fennel to finish up my swallowtails, more milkweed for my monarchs, and tomato plants for my hawk moths. Edit. Thank you for the kind words. I'll make a post about it when it's not Thanksgiving. Edit 2. For those who keep asking, I release them all, but I hold on to the moths until nighttime. How it works: you plant their host plant, they lay eggs, and the caterpillars eat the plant. You just make sure they don't run out of plants or get eaten by lizards or wasps. I used to raise them indoors, but I had more time then. They can get sick, in which case you have to stop growing that plant in that area for a while. No, I'm not on television. There are many of us who do this. Story 12. Seltzer water substantially cut down on my alcohol intake, and I never drink soda anymore. To anyone who had never been to my house, you would think I was stocking up for the end of the world or looking into becoming a seltzer distributor. Story 13. Warhammer models, paints, brushes, hobby accessories. I play both Warhammer 40,000 and Age of Sigmar. I have painted 3 large armies in Warhammer 40,000, sold one to a friend, and I am working on my first Age of Sigmar army. There is probably a couple $100 in paints alone in a 12 by 8-inch plastic shoebox I keep them in. They call it plastic crack for a reason. Story 14. Knives. Not that I buy a lot of knives. I spend a little. I'm a pocket knife fan but also appreciate nice kitchen cutlery. Chris Reeve knives for the win. I've had more expensive knives and they are very nice. But I like to use my things, and I couldn't bring myself to use some of them, so I sold them. Now I everyday carry and use my large Nkosi or small Sebenza. They, in my humble opinion, are the best value and set the standard for a high-quality knife. Do not bother with clones. Choose a nice zero tolerance or Spyderco if you don't want to spend about $300 on a used basic Chris Reeve knife. You can get very nice zero tolerance and Spyderco knives used for $100 to $150. Story 15. Asian ball-jointed dolls. Never get into this hobby. Drugs are cheaper and easier to explain. Edit. My first silver. Thanks, kind stranger. I am reading all the comments now and am so glad I got to pass along this joy. Story 16. Fountain pens. I have not invested much in them yet because I am poor, but I plan to spend a lot in the near future. Story 17. Yarn and knitting needles. It is funny how we all agree that we have already spent too much on yarn we do not use but would absolutely spend large amounts of money on more. For those wondering, yarn can get expensive. I have spent easily $120 on my current project, and it is only 1/4 of the way done. If you are in the United States, put your phone down for a few minutes and have a happy Thanksgiving. Story 18. Private hand balancing lessons. Frustrating as hell, expensive, the practice takes years to gain any skill, and nobody said I had talent. Still, $170 per week if neither of my coaches has to cancel. Story 19. Edit. If your character's name is Davin and you used to be missing a tongue, stop reading. This got a bit bigger than I expected. Haha. I paid $300 for a miniature airship designed for 1-inch scale Dungeons and Dragons figures. It has full masts, engines, sits on a raised stand, and was painted with specific references to our ongoing Dungeons and Dragons campaign. When the party finally gets the airship, this thing is suddenly appearing on the table. 100% worth every penny. When the game is over, I will happily keep it as a showpiece. Story 20. The Sims franchise. Over $700 spent on pixels who say the same nonsense. Edit. I like how the first thing I post is about my Sims shame and I get 10,000 upvotes. Story 21. Massages. I get terrible tension headaches and medication never did the trick. Massages keep it in check. Edit. Thank you for the awards. This is my first one and I am very pleased. Also, thank you to everyone for your advice. I have tried some of the things you have suggested, and I am getting many new ideas. Thanks for caring. Story 22. Houseplants. I have over 100. Absolute addiction. I am into Hoyas and have gone as far as to order from overseas. The prices in the United States are crazy. I have seen plants sell for thousands on eBay. My family and friends think I have a problem. Story 23. I spent about $5,000 turning my garage into a free weight gym. The UPS delivery person loved me for about 4 months straight. For those who have been asking, horse mat to cover the floor since it is cheaper and more durable than gym matting. A couple of dumbbell racks with dumbbell sets from 5 pounds to 85 pounds. A good deadlift bar. A good cambered squat bar. A good bench bar. Flat bench, heavy duty. Adjustable bench. 2 weight trees, one for either side of a heavy-duty power rack. 14 45-pound plates. 8 25-pound plates. 8 10-pound plates. 8 5-pound plates. A set of clips. A heavy-duty body-on bar. Good bar clips. A range of assorted resistance bands. A good lat pull-down machine. A decent heater. An okay Wi-Fi speaker. Old mixing bowl to hold chalk. I have been lifting for 18 years and just got tired of gym fees. Story 24. Fermentation equipment. I love fermenting stuff. I made a fermented cranberry soda for this Thanksgiving. Edit. Oh wow, I did not expect this response. Thanks for the award. I have a small setup right now, but it is in my plans to expand it. I mostly make non-alcoholic beverages like sodas, tepach, and kombucha. For the cranberry soda, I used a cup of gingerbug and made a cranberry sauce with orange and natural cranberries. Then I added water, probably about 1.5 liters, and let it ferment for 5 days. After that, I bottled the soda and did a secondary fermentation for 2 days in a dark, warm environment. Finally, I left it in the fridge for a day so the gas settles and prevents spillage. Story 25. I spent $800 on a bow like a bow and arrow for target shooting. I told my friends, and they all said I was nuts. I probably am. Story 26. Vintage style clothing and lingerie. Beautiful yet expensive. Story 27. Antique swords. My model 1855 French Superior Officer saber arrived today. It is the third French 1845-55 saber I have added to my collection. Steel does not last without effort, and too many beautiful historic pieces rust away. I preserve what I can and hope to someday get a three-dimensional scanner to scan my collection and preserve them forever. Story 28. Lego. I have 5 or 6 of the Creator Expert modular buildings which I have turned into a city street along with the Ghostbusters headquarters. I also have the Ultimate Collector Series 7,500-piece Millennium Falcon, several of the Creator Expert cars, with the Mustang being the best, and a few other various sets as well. I cannot wait for Friday and the release of the 1989 Batmobile. Story 29. 3D printer. It is amazing. Story 30. I dropped $1,000 to own this Nazi German Shepherd puppet from the television show Danger 5. I got it at an auction the producers of the show held a couple of years ago. I don't think many people would be willing to spend that much money on a prop. For those unfamiliar with the show, it is a hilarious Australian comedy about a group of spies trying to kill Hitler. The show, at least the first season, is styled as if it were from the 1960s. Story 31. Board games. I have a collection of over 230 games plus about 160 expansions. The hobby is growing, but I would wager the majority of people have not experienced much beyond Cards Against Humanity. Story 32. Chicken shawarma. I can't get enough of that delicious garlic sauce. Story 33. Blueberry Nutri-Grain bars. I am always buying those. I am addicted to them. Story 34. I pay $22,000 a year in property taxes to live in a normal-size house. I am very unhappy with living in Long Island. Story 35. Malort. I mostly buy it to make other people take shots of it because I know it hurts newcomers, and I enjoy that like a true Chicagoan. Edit. Thanks for the support. To be clear, I enjoy Malort. I get myself Chicago handshakes and buy others shots of Malort when they comment on my drink choice. Pro tip. If someone is nervous, get them a slice of orange to suck on after the shot. Tequila and lime style. Takes off the edge. Story 36. Skooma. Cannot get enough of that sweet moon sugar. Story 37. I buy a lot of books. I have a huge collection now that most people find ridiculous. Story 38. My daughter's cheerleading team is very expensive. However, she really loves it, and it has done a lot for her self-confidence and time management skills. I never hid from her the struggles to find the money. I donate my plasma to help pay for the travel expenses, so she truly appreciates being able to be on the team. This is her last year, and I am surprised to find that I am actually a little sad. Story 39. Well, not anymore, but bath products. I would spend at least $500 per month on bath bombs and bubble bars. Story 40. Sure, I could buy that Land O'Lakes butter for $3 per pound, but have you ever tried Berta Barat? It's stunning. Story 41. Movies. I have Netflix, Disney Plus, and others. Yet I still buy at least one movie a month, usually more, even though I already have a large collection of movies and TV series. Story 42. Enamel pins are something I love, especially ones featuring cartoons, games, and music. They come in very handy for expressing personality. I put them on my leather jacket and swap them every now and then to avoid having many holes. I hope to order a few custom-made pins someday when I feel more generous. Story 43. Virginals are delicate and expressive musical instruments. Story 44. Getting my hair cut is nothing special. I just get it done every 3 weeks, and it costs me about $50 each time, including the tip. Approximately $850 a year. I have thick hair and like it short and styled. When I was a kid, I hated it when it got too long or shaggy, but my mom made me wait for a cut. So now, as an adult, I get it cut whenever I want. Story 45. Archery. Bows and equipment cost a fortune, and it is not a very popular sport in my country. However, I have always been fascinated by it, and I do not have any other hobbies apart from reading books. Story 46. Canned soup. I like trying a different kind of canned soup at least once a week. Story 47. Vinyl records. Most people say, don't you know Spotify costs about $10 per month? Story 48. Computer components. I am planning to spend a significant portion of my paycheck on Friday at Micro Center. It has been 6 years since my last central processing unit upgrade. Please do not judge me. Story 49. Dogecoin is a cryptocurrency based on a meme that I originally purchased as a joke. Now I cannot stop buying in an attempt to lower my average price, and I have almost 2 million coins. Story 50. I love hot sauce and at any given time have 40 to 50 bottles open and in use. It is not a lot of money, but it is much more than the average person spends on hot sauce. Story 51. Pillows and bedding. You spend a quarter to a third of your life asleep, so you have to be comfortable. However, for some reason, many people I know skimp on these items. Story 52. Chocolate croissants. I buy half a dozen every week and have one every morning with my coffee. There is only one bakery in town that makes them, and there is not a huge demand. Story 53. Therapy. I have been going to therapy once a week for 10 years. I do not care how much I have spent because it is a necessity. I wish other people would spend money on therapy. Story 54. Playing cards. Not Magic, The Gathering, or any other card games. Just regular poker playing cards with cool designs. I open them, look at them, put them back in their box, and put it in my drawer to never be opened again. Story 55. Comic books. Most people cannot comprehend spending $20 on a single book, let alone $50 or $100. Story 56. I buy compact discs. Most people do not use them anymore because of digital downloads, but I love being able to hold them in my hands and use them in my car without having to change the songs on my cell phone. I prefer them because the designs are often very cool, and I always have something to get signed when I go to shows. I also think that artists create albums as something you have to listen to from beginning to end to get the full experience. I have approximately 100 of them, and the number is still growing. They are expensive. I might sound old school, but I am a young adult who still enjoys physical media. I hope they do not stop making them in the future, although they should start using less plastic for the cases and more cardboard. Story 57. Pepperoncini. I have an addiction. I am positive I have spent more on pepperoncinis than anyone else. Story 58. I haven't started it yet, but my significant other and I are planning to buy land and start a rescue for senior animals, specifically pit bull type dogs. We are very excited. Story 59. Good quality food. I like to invest in what I put into my own body. Story 60. Bicycles. I spent about 3 paychecks this season and just spent almost 2 more paychecks on a brand new mountain bike. Yay! Story 61. Maybe not spend, but spent $35,000 last year to adopt my beautiful daughter. I'm not complaining, though. Story 62. Coffee. I've literally drunk 2/3 of my body weight in coffee this year. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.